Hi, my name is Austin Harris, and this is my second week, um, the second lecture log for the Creativity Journal that I'm doing. This week was different yet similar to the last. We talked a little bit about objectively what the course is going to entail and why this course is different from others, but we dove a little bit more in depth this week. This week, for the first part of the class, we focused on creativity, and creativity is pretty important. We find out to everyone's lives. We are surviving based off of creativity, imagination, and creation. Um, we talked about the environment, and we talked about um, the competitions, the Dell Challenge competition, where they have opportunities for students just like me to win $60,000 based off of an idea for improving education or um, things like that. So just an idea alone could get you $60,000 if you had the best idea out of the bunch. Um, Things like Mall of America, the creativity that comes along with that, but ends up being a big hit. Um, it's pretty interesting to think about. And we did an exercise in this week's course, and we talked about like the happiest moment you lived in your life and what the happiest moment that I lived in my life. Um, in reflection, I'd say that the happiest moment in my life was probably gaining acceptance into Texas A&M, because my entire life I have worked um, to be a good student, to be a good kid, um, be a good family member, uh, in all of these things. I feel like the reward for all of these, the hard work that I did, I got into the best university in the world, and I am so blessed to be able to be at this university. Um, I wasn't sure if I was going to get in. I had good grades, good SAT, all these different things, but I wasn't sure based off the competition. My school was really competitive, and I feel like I ended up at this school for a reason. And I'd say that was the happiest moment in my life because I knew where I wanted to go immediately. All my other choices were not even an issue anymore. And my parents were so proud of me. My brother and my everyone was so proud of me, and I had achieved greatness, and it felt great to know that I had a chance to go somewhere in life and I had the privilege to learn and be something great. In the second part of the class, we talked about um, kind of motivation and taking the creativity and what do you do with it. Um, we talked about all the different inventions and innovations that are being made out there, but we talked about how technology affects people. People will be able to do things they could never do before. We have emphasis on robotics nowadays. Um, IBM Watson is notable. Um, that is a, from what I understood, a robotic system that uh, it has basically a human brain. It's a very intellectually smart system, and that kind of technology is only going to progress as days go on. Um, and I thought that was very interesting, and we talked about that a little bit as well. I think that the technology having to do with driving was really interesting. Professor talked about texting and driving, and the technology knowing how fast you're going, running red lights and all this stuff, and having that be a drastic uh, game changer when it comes to your insurance. So it's basically the big brother effect. If you're not doing right and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, you can be still held accountable for it. Uh, and I think that was interesting because they had that in a lot of different, um, aspects, not just driving while texting, but that was talked about as DUI, and it's true. That is driving under the influence. You're not fully attentive on the road. Um, it's interesting. That could very well be something that is a game changer in the future. We talked about health and how health may change for the better as technology grows, and that technology greatly affects people. Where people used to live to be 50 years old, 40 years old, people are now living to be 102, 105 years old. And that is ridiculously spectacular. And I think that it's only going to increase and get better from now on. But it's something also that's interesting that most people don't really know about. Imagination is essential in addressing change, and that's something that Professor said that was extremely important. And the reason why I think this is important is because if you don't think about if you don't think about what could make this better or what you don't like doing and finding a solution to that, then we're left with a whole lot of problems that need solving, and we don't really get anywhere. Because we go and we're curious about solutions for these problems, and we go and we solve them, and we create and we innovate, we now live in a world today that we didn't live in hundreds of years ago. Something that Professor talked about that is pretty interesting to me, and is also something that applies to me in my life. He talked about how motivation, we were talking about going and doing great things, and how all of us have the opportunity to be successful, and we have the privileges um, to learn at one of the best schools in the nation. And it made me think, we talked about, your neighborhood and the people that are from your hometown, and, them not going places or going places, and they expect you to pretty much stay where you are. This applies to me because in my hometown, um, with the exception of myself and a handful of friends and people that I didn't know, most of the people stayed home and either went to community college or didn't go to college. And to me, that's a big deal because every time I go home, there are a whole lot of people that, like Professor said, are living in the past. They're living in the high school, um, years, and I'm 3 years in on my college education, and it's just worlds apart. I don't feel the connection anymore that I used to have, and it's weird when I notice that people kind of expect you to be in the same spot you used to be when you're trying to go on and move on with life and achieve bigger and better things. Professor talked about apps and how there are thousands of apps out there today. This is pretty important because we innovate. This is a huge example of us solving problems and doing cool things that make our lives easier, or maybe do shortcuts even. We talked about Professor V losing weight, and he had a I guess assignment or experiment. I don't remember exactly, where the students had to come up with ways for him to lose weight. And one of the students called his wife and told him to not have sex with him until he started losing weight. And I thought that was really funny. Professor V is pretty entertaining, so I thought that was humorous. Um, but the fact that when you put your mind to something, like Professor V said, he lost 30 pounds in a semester. And if you really put your mind to something and you care about it and you make a daily effort every single day, there's no way that you will not be successful. Professor made a remark that I think is pretty important. He said that you'll watch your entire life people jumping into the pool, getting involved, doing things with their lives, and you don't want to be the one that is stuck at the side of the pool getting splashed. This made me think a lot because one of my biggest fears is being left behind by my peers. I want to be one of the best. I want to be the best at what I do, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. Um, this is a motivational piece of information that he gave me. This changed my life because it really spelled out how I feel about things. I do not want to be the person being splashed on the side of the pool. I want to be the first one to jump in and get involved with whatever my career is. Personally, I want to be a lawyer, and whether that be an intellectual property lawyer or not, I'm still trying to figure out what area I'd like to do. But jumping in the pool, not being afraid to fail, and learn from experiences and things that I do wrong and you do right. That is something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life, um, because I had never heard that phrase before, and it really spells out what I go through on a daily basis, and what I do not want to happen as well. Throughout the entire class period today, there were a lot of things that I learned, and there were a lot of things that surprised me, um, that I feel like most people should know but do not. Um, I think that this class is only going to help me learn more about the technology in the world around me, and only expand my horizons and my creativity and imagination and help me be successful in the future.